join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beaconing light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 155 years later, the Negro is still not free. 155 years later, the life of the Negro is sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 155 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 155 years later, the Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. We all have come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to change racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice ring out for all God's children. There will neither be rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted citizenship rights. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protests to degenerate into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. And the marvelous new militarization which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers have evidenced by their presence here today that they have come to realize that their destiny is part of our destiny. So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that affordable housing is afforded to all people, regardless of false disqualifiers such as systemic credit or because of characteristics that systems may frown upon. I have a dream that marijuana is decriminalized, those who have been incarcerated be released and records expunged so they're able to enjoy the freedoms whites have as they are benefiting from capitalistic dispensaries. I have a dream that sex work is decriminalized and the crime against nature statute be abolished that disproportionately affects trans women of color and the LGBT plus Black and brown community. I have a dream that the charter cult system be abolished and we stop treating our children as shares and stocks in a seat, and that equitable education is afforded to all regardless of socioeconomic backgrounds. I have a dream that those who serve their time and pay back to society are restored their right to vote. I have a dream the racist police organization be defunded and monies are appropriately allocated to address the intersectional, multi-generational public health crisis that causes the police to react in a negligent and harmful and murderous way. I have a dream that equal, equitable, and tax-paid health care can be provided to all citizens without penalty. I have a dream that jobs are secured, wages are increased for the real work being done, and unions reform to ensure the execution of ethical policy practices. I have a dream the rights that my ancestors died as a result of be not infringed upon due to the power 1%'ers desire to maintain that they identify as superiority. I demand the end to voter suppression. I have a dream that the celebration that is to commence this day and every day due to the contributions of my enslaved ancestors be continuously celebrated, elevated, and appreciated. I have a dream today.
All right, thank you all so much for bearing through watching that a couple times, but I'm sure you appreciated it as much as I did. Thank you for your responses in the chat and everything. So tonight, we put a lot of work into making this happen, especially because we got started with the fellowship back in January. So we were able to meet for a few weeks until before the world was turned upside down. And although this year has been heavy on all of us, like Rashida said, our youth have been extremely dedicated to showing up for each other every week, and especially showing up for themselves. And at the same time, you know, they're participating in numerous panels, decision-making tables. They are, you know, sitting on focus groups, and they're doing all of this as their authentic selves. And so tonight we're just really trying to celebrate them. Although we are virtual, we have so much more leeway to, you know, have our families here, to be at home in the comfort of our homes, hopefully, and celebrate together. So here's a toast to the NOYA Fellows in my NOYA cup. And I just want to say thank you so much for keeping us grounded. Thank you for always keeping us laughing. And you know this, but I will always be here for you. And I'm pretty sure everyone on the call could say the same. We will always be here for you. This is not the end of the fellowship, even though this is a closing. So cheers. Woohoo, clink. All right, and so now, like I said, we were only able to meet just a few times before COVID impacted us all. And the last meeting that we had, there was like a spontaneous chess game between Jeremiah and Damon. And I'm sure a lot of us have seen, you know, Queen's Gambit, and chess is kind of like having a little revival moment right now. So hopefully we can keep that up. And that's the slide I meant to have up. And the next thing that we're going to be going on to is a chess game by Damon, Christian, and Jeremiah. So I'm going to kick it off to you all.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Damon. I'm one of the fellows here. I just want to thank Dominique and Rashida for putting together an amazing fellowship for us. I learned so much about systems, and I had a great opportunity to network with a lot of systems leaders, and yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Jeremiah, we can't hear you. I can see that you're trying to say something, but.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Hi, my name is Jeremiah Jones. I want to piggyback off of where Damon was taking us and just say that this fellowship has been a monumental evolutional step in my life. It's taken me through different situations, different panels, and different like focus groups, as well as just being in a group of like-minded and also different-minded people who are all binded together in their commitment to find what is best for our community. And so in that practice, you know, that very same spirit, we're going to be looking at today what is currently affecting our community. And with that, I'll pass it off to our other partner, Christian.
Christian, are you? There you are. I can't hear you though. Okay, well, Damon, do you want to get started talking about economic stability then?
Yes. All right. Okay. So we For economic stability, we know that for African Americans household, well, let me back up. We know that almost 60% of families in New Orleans are either poor or working poor. And there's an acronym that describes this phenomenon. It's called ALICE. ALICE means asset limited, income constrained, and employed. Oh, it came down. So this means that families in New Orleans are poor and working poor. Okay, let's see.
I'm sorry that the slideshow went off. My computer
Hmm?
died.
It's cool.
I'm so sorry, y'all, for all these tech difficulties. I really appreciate you for bearing with us. I'm confused because it's plugged up, but it just died.
Would you like me to keep going? Because I still have my slide.
But keep going, Damon. You got it.
Cool. So we know that over 60% of families are either poor or working poor. Now, 70% of those families, African Americans represent 70% of those families, while only 42% of those families are represented by white folks. So this means that on average, African Americans are poor and working poor more than white families in New Orleans. And we have a photo of a chess game to illustrate this disparity. Some drivers of this phenomenon include low wages, the cost of childcare, healthcare, increased cost of living, and unaffordable housing. And we also have some solutions that we're going to talk about once we put the slide back up.
I just want to say thank you so much, Dominique and Damon, for rolling through those technological difficulties. As you did, I really appreciate it. I'm so glad to be on the same stage as wonderful, powerful people such as you guys.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Okay, so this is our photo that represents economic instability. Economic stability between white families and black families. So as you can see, we took away 70% of the black pieces, and we only took away 42% of the white pieces. And you could, like, the disparity between the two are clear. It's almost as if the black families are looking at the white families and how much wealth that they have compared to themselves, which is very staggering. But this problem doesn't have to be this way. As young people, we've come up with creative solutions that Chris Young will talk about.
I think Christiane may have gotten kicked off.
Okay.
Here she's back now. Perfect. Okay. Perfect timing. But Damon, you can probably do this one. And let her do the next one.
Okay, so as a group, we came up. We thought about it. We brainstormed, and we came up with these solutions to the problem of economic inequality between black and white families. So we said, so we know that one of the issues is the cost of childcare. So why not just give out free childcare? Also, we know that we know that families are poor and working poor, and that means that they can't meet their basic needs. So why not implement a universal basic income so that families can have a foundation and know that they're not going to be put out month to month. We also say that we should increase access to career and technical education so that we have the skills necessary to get high paying jobs in the workforce. We also say that we should increase affordable housing so that, families don't have to worry about if they're going to get kicked out, so that that renters aren't allowed to jack up the price of living, and we have to spend more money than we should on housing. And this brings us to our next section, which is space and place. And we're going to talk about gentrification. So gentrification is the process of repairing and building homes and businesses in the deteriorating area, such as urban neighborhoods, accompanied by an influx of middle class and affluent people that often result in the displacement of earlier, usually poor residents. So that we, now moving into this section, so that we know that there are only, the data indicates that that we need 33,593 affordable housing units, while only 2,212 were available. So that means that our need is 33,593, while we only have 2,212. The people who are pushed out, as indicated by the definitions, are the indigenous populations. And we also know that gentrification is an adverse childhood experience. So being forced out of your home destroys communities, because the families that used to live in the same neighborhood are no longer able to live there anymore. So they get stretched out, and the family just is destroyed. And we have a illustration that represents this. So as you can see on this, with this chessboard, we took out some of the families, or we took out some of the black pieces to represent the families that are being displaced, and represented the families that replaced the families that were displaced with white pieces. And if you can see to the far left corner of the screen, or the upper left corner of the photo, you can see the black families. They don't have a place to go, and that represents what is happening in New Orleans. Christian.
Sorry for getting kicked out earlier. So here are some of our recommendations that we came up with to disrupt gentrification in New Orleans. We want to start by increasing affordable housing available, institute rent controls in New Orleans, establish a property tax cap to prevent low-income, long-term homeowners from experiencing sharp increases. So for people who've lived there already, shouldn't receive a higher property tax than people who are moving in. And we feel as though that new industries that build in these low-income neighborhoods should commit to hiring long-term residents that already live in that community.
All right, thank you guys. So the next thing that we want to bring to light is just that the current statistic of like that we're seeing in New Orleans is just that 12% of African American students are suspended in New Orleans public schools, whereas the crazy part is that suspension rates for every other population is less than 5% across the board, which means if you were to take the likelihood of an African American student to be suspended, it would be twice, if not more so, than that of their white counterparts, that of their Hispanic counterparts, or etc. So it's pretty easy to see here that we have a system in place that is very much so dangerous for our children, our African American children in particular. There is very much so a pipeline, a school to prison pipeline that exists, that is very much so gluttonous and chooses favorites, as Black children are 3 times more likely than their white counterparts to be suspended. And then you have the fact that, alongside suspension, students are more likely to suffer grade retention, to suffer high school dropout situations, or to interact with the criminal justice system. And systems like this must be torn down, as they are strictly anti-youth and anti-Black. Going on to our next slide, what you'll see is a picture of a board. We have the entirety of the Black side pretty much filled in, and there's one white counterpart on the other side of the board. And this is because the statistic is that 94% of the youth in custody, that's youth, just every youth in New Orleans, 94% of the youth in custody in the Juvenile Justice Center are African American. So we're seeing rates of 12% suspension rate, whereas less than 5% across the board on every other margin. And then we look at who's actually being put into custody, and it's a strong majority or levied against African American students. There is a huge psychological impact of being pulled from your home and put into situations that are very much so animalistic, very much so akin to being treated like an animal. There is a huge educational loss. There is too much time loss. And so going into like our next point, just to kind of go into youth voice, we need to start getting mixed signals. Right. So the next slide is going to show you safety and justice. So we have some positive solutions that we want to pitch to you, and I'll hand the baton back over to Christiane.
Yeah, so you guys are probably thinking, well, how do we fix this? We're going to start by encouraging and funding counseling services within schools. We want to take out police or security guards in any schools in New Orleans. Hire educators who reflect the students that they're serving, not just on a race case basis, but in every aspect. We want to implement a Know Your Rights training for youth. We feel it's important that if a young person is met with the law, that they should be aware of how to handle the situation. Replace suspensions with restorative practices. So having roundtable talks about what certain things aren't working and why certain children are maybe acting out. And integrate parents into student school experiences. It's really important that parents are a part of a big conversation, seeing that like around their own children. So yeah. And so here, so now we segue into youth voice. And so when decisions are being made about needs of the community, youth needs to be a part of the conversation. So when a youth voice is set to the background, their needs don't get addressed. So as you can see in the photo, the pawns represent the young people in New Orleans, and they're kind of being shut out by the bigger chess pieces, and which is representing how youth don't really have a seat at the table or get to be involved in the conversation. And we just want to say, like, there should be nothing like talked about us without us.
And so here we have a little diagram wherein we've switched the pieces around a little bit just so that you can see that the smaller pieces, which we earlier used to represent the youth, are now front and center. They're surrounded by their much larger cohorts, and we will see that in life as well. If we take the time to listen to our youth, to put them front and center so that they can begin to develop themselves, develop their minds and their creativity, then we will see that the representation of the youth and the representation of just the community at large will be vastly magnified and made vastly more powerful by the integration of the youth in our conversations. And so all that said, I want to say on behalf of all of my cohorts, Christiane and Damon, that our life isn't a game. And I know I was corny. Yeah, so I remember after that initial chess game that we played, I know it ended, and there was a victor and there was a loser, but what we need to realize is that while that game ends, in real life, things keep going. And so no one needs to be the loser, no one needs to be, yeah.
We get it. Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thanks.
Thank you, y'all. That was so great. So Rashida, if you want to try to switch around, hopefully my computer won't die again. And yeah, 87%, y'all. We're doing it. So next, I know that we talked about some kind of heavy topics. And so we kind of want to just like, you know, lighten up the vibe a little bit. One of our fellows, Andre, has been kind of a spiritual guide for us throughout this year. I thought that it would be really fun and unique if we had him do a tarot reading for the community. And I just want to give a disclaimer that I apologize if this goes against anyone's beliefs, but I feel that if you have any connection to New Orleans at all, you probably have at least a little bit of respect for the spirituality of it all. And you will most likely enjoy Andre's message. So, Rashida, do you want to switch or do you want to play it? Okay, all right, go for it. Can't hear it though. Okay, we're gonna switch.
What we need is a community. Before I even look and see the actual spread, it just looks like a lot of rest, a lot of recuperating. We're going through a pandemic, and then a lot of people are having to face themselves and having to look at themselves differently because they're not out facing each other, facing other people. So they might have come to some truths, they might have come to some realizations that might lead them to just kind of chill and just kind of take a few minutes to be like, okay, this is what I just realized, and this is what I just gone through, and then take that next step instead of just taking the next step. I feel like, especially being in this pandemic space right now, we have nowhere to go and nothing else to do but kind of just sit with ourselves instead of just kind of go with everything else like we usually do as a community. So on the bottom is the King of Pentacles, and I guess you could say the bottom card is like the overall energy of the reading in a sense. And King of Pentacles, he has a pentacle on his chest. Like he has whatever possession and whatever money we kind of have. He's able to just kind of sit there and not move and not have to go anywhere else. And I feel like that's kind of what we need as a community. Just realize us not going out to places and us not doing things has allowed us to accumulate maybe wealth in whatever forms, wealth being material, spiritual, mental, whatever wealth, you feel like you're gonna accumulate, it's gonna come in a way that you didn't think it will. So that's why I say as a community, we kind of just need to rest and allow things to come in. The middle card will tell me where we are and what we kind of need to, I guess, process at the moment as a community. In the middle, it's the Knight of Cups. It's kind of where we are. Cups are our emotions. In the Knight, he's very guarded, and he just has his cup. He's not holding on to the cup. The cup's just kind of sitting there. People with cups, we have to be able to fill our own cup before we can fill someone else's cup. So it's probably what's being referenced. I'll speak as NOYA. We can't help others and change policies if we as people are not okay and able to recognize why are we doing the things that we're doing. Always make sure you're moving from your heart space. In the past position, we have the Strength card. The Strength card is one of those cards that kind of is very interesting, but even with, I guess in the context of this reading, is saying that I guess we've already gained the strength that we already needed. We've let go what we already need to let go. The Strength card is usually depicted with a lion, but in this one, it's a dog with hair. And usually the strength is you're holding back something, you're holding back there's some kind of energy because that lion is supposed to be something you're holding back within yourself. In the future position, I guess what we're kind of going towards or what we're working towards or what we may need as a community is the Three of Pentacles, which is about working. But in the Three of Pentacles, everything's already been built. It's already been put together. So I feel like this is about things being sustained. because the 3 is about creativity and the pinnacles are about, again, wealth, money, and just material things. So I feel like that's kind of where we are, is we're creating sustainability. So these 2 cards on the outside, the top one, I guess you could say, is like an energy that we can utilize and bring in to help get to this future, or how we can help our community further. It's the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is like someone who's learning things, who's taking in knowledge. So I guess you have to be able to recognize the opportunities that are good, like what you see, and the opportunities that you don't see. So always be willing to learn and learn to discern, because, you know, some things may happen that you might not, that may come off as a good opportunity, but you may not see like the other side of it. And then the energy is sitting on top of that is on the bottom is the 5 of Pentacles. And I feel like this might be an energy that we may have to try and let go, or just an energy to recognize, because the 5 of Pentacles is about financial lack. I guess you could say not having everything that you need in a traditional sense. The people in this card, they're not just standing still and like wallowing in the money that they don't have. It looks like they're moving towards something. Right now, you may be going through a transitionary period where it may look like you may not have what you need, but what you might need is on the other side of just whatever is going on in whatever situation. I am Andre Jappy, and this has been a community reading.
Let me switch my audio back. Okay, no feedback. All right, so I hope that y'all enjoyed that. And I hope that you heard something that was meant for you. When I was sitting there recording it, I was like, I feel like you just read me a little bit. And he was like, yep, that's what the cards do. So Andre, does your answer remain the same? Like, how are you feeling? What do you think the community needs now?
Okay. I don't think it's really changed. And even as I'm sitting here, like I've said before yesterday to everyone, like when I'm reading, I don't remember like what I was talking about. I don't remember, like, cause you're just in a different space. And after having gone through the things that I went through and where I am right now, I feel like the message still applies. And even with a lot of people that I've kind of dealt with, you know, going through periods where they're like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm just like, things kind of have to kind of hit the fan in order for things to fall and kind of settle. And I think that's where we kind of are right now. And the reading still stays the same. That's why I was kind of sitting here like, wow, I really kind of read myself, because I went through some things that I was like, because as it talks about the opportunities that may not look good, and then may have another thing on the reading. I just went through an experience in the job that I was like, this is a good opportunity. And then something happened. I was like, never mind. So I think it kind of still applies.
Just really quickly, in the chat, there's some questions on whether or not you do private readings, and so
You're my dad, so I will definitely hook you up with Andre so that Andre can give you a nice personalized reading.
well, he's not alone. I'm getting some private messages as well.
Yes, I kind of knew this was going to happen. Yes, this is something that I don't engage with a while. I've been reading cards probably for 2.5 years, 2 years. I don't like being those people who is like, oh my God, I read cards, because there are people who will start reading cards in the first 6 months. They're reading cards for other people and they don't know what they're talking about. So I don't want to I feel like I'm kind of getting to a space now where, yes, I will help people, but at the same time, do understand it's always a learning period. I'm always learning new things. Even with the cards, I always find something new. I'm like, wow, I didn't see that before. So it's, yeah.
Well, thank you. So I also want to just like open that up to everyone else to put your answers in the chat for what you think we need as a community right now. I know personally my answer would be that we need a healthy dependence on technology in a way that we're using it as a tool and not using it as a crutch. And I feel like it's really hard with, you know, how our world has been set up, especially now we're doing all things virtual. So I think it can be a lot easier to start to blend, you know, when we're using technology for good and when it might not be so good. So let's see, anyone have any other answers? Feel free to unmute yourself if you have an answer, but you can also share it in the chat real quick. We'll take like 1 or 2 answers and then go on to our next segment.
I'll say something. Oh, somebody said something in the chat.
can go ahead too, and you can read what's in the chat.
Okay, well, someone said we need compassion, civility, and collaboration, unity in the lack of community and policies that help the Black family infrastructure, sustainable economy that's not based on service industry, and more money to local communities. And I'm assuming she's saying more Black communities.
She was correcting what she said, unity in the Black community. We got you, Alexis.
And I want to invite other folks. I might call on you to share some of our partners. Chandler, you have a little one there with little toes. And yes, I'm excited. What do you think that we need in our community right now?
A lot of things. I think one thing that the pandemic has kind of shed a light on is like food security. So I think everybody should be able to, get a good meal and have enough food so that, especially our young people, so that they can concentrate, while they're in school.
Thank you. And I'm going to call on somebody else, so get ready. I would like to call on Peter Davis, who is a new member of our board. Give it up for Peter. He was just named to our board this week. So we are very excited to have him. What do you think that we need in our community right now?
I was on mute. Are we talking about just in general, Rashida, or as it relates to youth? Okay, I'm sorry. I think that more spiritual support. I think that many folks have been, we found ourselves isolated, not just in the formal institution of, kind of spiritual support, but I think that, we need more kind of opportunities to have spiritual support.
Thank you. Dominique, there's a few more in the chat. Let's see, we said.
Some great ones in the chat.
You want
Job
to
security, especially in a time when it can be hard to find and keep employment. I saw more historic exposure, better leaders and role models, patience with each other and ourselves, absolutely. Dr. Smith says acceptance and the ability to see ourselves in others, definitely. So thank you so much for contributing to our community reading, us reading ourselves, reading each other. And like we said, we can connect you to Andre as he permits appointments on a selective basis. Okay, so let's see. Next, we since we have reflected a little bit, we are going to pass it over to some of our other fellows to reflect on their experience throughout the fellowship. I'm trying to get there we go. Oh wait, no, next it's the healing art activity, because we do need to debrief all of the heaviness that we've talked about and some of the lightness that we've talked about. But yeah, so at NOYA, we make sure to prioritize our health on a mental level, physical, emotional, and spiritual levels. And so tonight we are going to go over some strategies for how to do that. This is why we asked you to get pen and paper. If you were able to get one of the party packages that I delivered and sent out, you have like a little fortune teller. I have one around here somewhere, but I'm gonna hand it over to Deja to lead this activity.
Hi, you guys. Can everyone hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, because I know sometimes with technology be tripping. Okay, excited to be here. Thank you guys for having this event for us, Ms. Rashida and Dominique, and organizing everything for us. Really appreciative, and I know it's short time, so I'm just going to get right into it. So in NOYA, one of the topics that came out a lot across the board in policy and their effects on the community and conversations about education and community empowerment, et cetera, was trauma and its cycle that affects our community as New Orleanians, as Black people and brown people, and folks doing this work, which are a lot of people in this room right now, and how it basically trickles down. So today I want to give you guys this activity that focuses your attention on a single object. And by doing that, it's just a way of combating stress, anxiety, and anxiety attacks in the moment. So this activity is especially awesome because not only is it like a childhood delight of mine and super fun, but it also takes you through steps that will further your stress relief by providing you with a self-guided meditation and activity that will make you stop, breathe, calm your mind, and restore clarity so that you can make decisions about what you need or what you need to do to prioritize your mental, physical, and spiritual health. So now we're going to take our fortune tellers and fill them with activities and affirmations that you feel work best for you. We'll take like a minute or two to get this done. We'll also be looking at the bank that we have that Dominique so graciously made for us. It's there on the screen for you guys. And then if we have time, we can also share, like maybe get 2 or 3 people to share what kinds of things to stress relief just so that we get some inspiration. So yeah, are we gonna play music? I feel like that's very NOYA-like while we do this.
I got you.
Cool.
And I wanted to say really quickly, there's a few different ways that you could fill it out. So on mine, you can only see a little bit, but I have metallic, but we did it as mind, body, heart, and spirit on the 4 corners. And then on the inside, you would just do affirmations for one, and then like actions for another. So one thing could just be something that you're like gonna focus on or tell yourself, and the other one could be like some kind of like a kick in the butt a little bit, like, okay, I need to get up and do something about this. So I'll cycle through. I have like affirmations and actions on here, but I'll go back and forth so y'all can like kind of get a good look at them. But yeah, if anyone needs like further explanation, Deja is leading this activity, and Rashida's got us on the music.
So just for clarity, because I haven't done this since the 70s or 80s.
I was about to pull mine out and kind of do what Dominique's doing. But yeah, so I'm going to put mine flat. So basically it might look something like this. When y'all get it, and then what you're going to do is the side that has the 4 like perfect corners, I fold mine in half, and then I put my fingers in like this. And that pinch it together, and that makes this beautiful flower diamond kind of shape. Yes, you're getting it. It's happening.
We're getting it a lot. We're all showing them as well, just to be like.
Yes, I see. Lovely. Oh my God. Yes, and then across the top, like Dominique said, I was also it's easy because you want short words, because I'm going to refresh the memories here. So what we're going to do is whatever word you pick on top, usually spell it out. So for mind exact, for example, you do M-I-N-D, and then you go on from there. So I would do short words. You could do whatever you want on top, but that's just an example that we came up with. So we can do that. Right quick, this is so much fun watching.
Now, if we had to adapt, like, and we just had like a piece of paper, you recommend that we just write down a few affirmations and a few actions?
Totally, and this could be like an awesome opportunity if you don't want to do all of the mess. You can totally just like journal and just put down something for you, just so that it's easy when you have all of those crazy voices going on in your head when you're in the middle of stress or an anxiety attack. That list that you can go to breathe, take a moment, and let me go through and see what my steps should be and what I need to do for myself. So that's definitely a cool alternative to do as well.
So I want to invite folks to also write in the chat if there are some thoughts that they want to share, affirmations they want to add, actions that they think are valuable to supporting their well-being. And I'm just going to hit us with a little music. So essentially right now we're completing these, like filling these out. So at the top should go the work, I don't know, M-I-N-D. And on the inside flap should have one of these affirmations or an action, right?
Uh-huh.
All right, I got that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and play something.
And then after the song, we will reconvene.
Wait, I have another question.
Okay.
I have a question. So got the outside right. So for the inside, when we do the thingies, like so each one of these, so this would be mine, so we would put the like a mine thing on the outside and then put the thing on the inside. I know how to, I've done this but I don't remember like.
I feel like it is up for interpretation. Like you could either write it on the top. It's gonna be there's gonna be like two different sides. You'll see them both when you open them, but you'll know which one you're going for. So you can write it inside or towards the top. It's up to you.
For the inside, if you want, you can just put like a number from like 1 through 8, something like that.
Okay.
They'll open posting one more time, and then you'll pick that number. So
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Right. But I love how like everyone's done this. Like no matter how old you are, when we're back in grade school, like everyone did these.
All right. Emily, do you remember how to do this?
Yeah, this was one of my favorite things. These little fortune teller cookies.
Peter, do you remember how to do this?
I've done it, but I haven't done it in years.
Right.
Finger thing. You guys need another minute, another 2 minutes. How you guys? Right? Like 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Some people working. Let's just give it another minute, and then we'll reconvene. Thank you, Cheetah, for the.
still don't know how to do this, y'all. How do you do this? I don't understand. It's all right. It's all right. You want me to turn it off now? Okay.
I hope I'm not screaming too loud for that sweet, sweet baby that you're trying to put to sleep. Oh my goodness. I'm loving this image. So cute. All right. So I'm just going to go through it one time through mine just so you guys can kind of see. And then also just talk to you guys a little bit about the intentionality behind this project one more time. So the idea of it is, when I think of anxiety or when I think of stress, it's really just a million things going through your head at one time and you can't really get any clarity. So this task just lets you slow down for a second to get your stuff together, basically. So without even having to think about it, you can pick up something like this, and just being able to focus on a single object helps you mind stop and slow down. So you're going to start by picking one of the things that you wrote on top. I'm going to say body, for example. So BODY. I'm going to pick one of my numbers from the inside. I'm going to pick the number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to pick the number 3. All right. So I said for my my activity, 10 minutes of meditation or a nap. And for my affirmation, I said, I am what I need to be, and I'm gonna be all right. So that was mine. And basically that was just like a quick activity. Now I am just self-aware and I can focus on what I need to do next to make sure that I'm all right and I can get through my day and be the best me that I can be. So to anybody else, you don't have to go through the whole thing, but if anybody else, I think it would be a good idea just to share some affirmations or some activities that you guys love to do. I would love to hear some, especially some, I know y'all got some really good ones. So
I love the affirmations that Alexis put in the chat. And go ahead, Andre.
I was gonna say, for one, I actually have a self-care deck that literally does this exact thing. It has an affirmation and then has whatever activity. So this, I value this a lot. So, yeah, I mean, I did the same thing, the mind, body, heart, and spirit. I didn't think of what else to put on there. It does seem very straightforward. And I kind of did the same thing. I didn't put an affirmation and activity. I just put an affirmation or an activity. And the way I did it is just like, under the mind, I tried to put something for the mind, and for the spirit, I tried to put something for spirit. It doesn't really align that much, but because I feel like they all kind of work together. So that's why I was trying to think too much about it. But I guess for one of them, I just did it, and mine was do 5 minutes of stretching. So
that's a good one. 5 minutes movement is always really good, especially feeling sore muscles. Definitely. Cool. I'm gonna read from the chat right quick just because it really made me laugh. Jeremiah said, Garvey, not Gucci, 24/7, 365. That's hilarious. And then yeah, that's it. So does anybody else want to share some good ones? Just go for it. No.
I will read Alexis's real quick, and then we'll move on to the next part of this. But thank you so much, Deja. This is really fun. Alexis's really quickly are, I am safe and protected by people living and in the spiritual realm. I am a blessing. Someone is grateful. I haven't given up, and I continue to fight the good fight. I have access to the resources and tools to heal, thrive, and create the life I want. Thank you so much for sharing those, Alexis, and everyone else. So now that we have had a time to do some more reflecting, I'm gonna kick it over to some of our fellows to do their own reflections on this year. We're gonna start with Nia, and then it'll be Christian, Sanaya, and then Jeremiah. And then any of the fellows can also jump in, and after that, if you heard somebody say something and you want to harp on that. But yeah, now it's time for some words of reflection. So Nia, are you and Lucas ready to give us your truth?
Yes, we are. Okay, give me a second. Let me pull up.
I understand, trust me.
Okay, this is a poem I wrote for the specific occasion, and it's called Part of the Evolving World. And also, I must say, I have a retainer in, so it's kind of loose, so I might mess up a little. Alrighty. I never really felt American. The pride that wells up inside of so many others just didn't ring as hard for me. But once someone told me I'm as American as I can be because I fight for the rights of the unsung and unheard, the low-income workers, people of color, the children, the trees, the birds, and soon the world. I speak without fear of death or imprisonment. I am committed to the purpose of rebuilding and recreating a world in which supports and benefits the climate as well as its people. I cannot stand by and watch the children cry out to the heavens as the people who are meant to be their true protectors walk on by. I am a young Black American woman, daughter, mother. I wish for my people, which is all people, to be free to choose their life, to have equal opportunity on the basis of equity, and we fight for that. Young minds brought together for the sole purpose of evolving the current climate of our economy, for we are the future. Young Black Americans fighting to change the state and the nation to support all Americans. We vote as if our lives depend on it, but we do more by opening and changing the tension in the rooms we must enter. We see the world needs changing, and changing is what motivates our purpose to be. May it be a changing number or a day, from personalities to policies, the world moves on, whether we are there or not. But we have chosen not to stand in one spot. We move, we learn, and create for a world forever evolving, no matter our fate. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. Yeah, I like kind of skimmed what people have sent me, but I didn't read it all because the beauty of it is when you read it to us. So thank you. And now I'm going to pass it on to Christian.
That is a very tough act to follow. So I just wrote more of a goodbye note, not even goodbye, but just like a see you later. So I just said, New Orleans Youth Alliance came into my life at a time where I wanted to get more involved and become not only a leader at Tulane, but in New Orleans too. I've learned more about myself, my goals, and my potential by joining this organization than I have at my 3 years at Tulane, which is not a diss to Tulane, but more so speaking to the amazing time I spent with my NOYA fellows, Dominique and Miss Rashida. I hope to keep showing up for my community through NOYA and the many people I've met along the way. I've fostered a community through this fellowship, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I've met a plethora of people and learned how policy making works and affects the very city we reside in. NOYA did a great job at creating a safe and brave space for me and all the fellows. If I could do it again, even if I knew there'd be a pandemic, I would. I've said a lot, but this fellowship was my safe haven throughout all of 2020, and I hope to keep learning from all these beautiful people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I wrote something like Christian. I had said that over the fellowship, Miss Rashida and Dominique were exactly the light I needed. I feel like y'all came in my life at the perfect time, and y'all prepared me for my next season. I've learned so many things, and y'all really opened my eyes, and I cannot say how thankful I am for y'all. Y'all are truly a blessing, and I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. God places people in your life for a purpose, and it was not just a coincidence. And I love the work that y'all do and how it involves the youth. I feel like this will be a life for many young people like myself. And like I said in my interview, you don't realize how important they matter, how much they matter. I'm sorry. and it deserves to be heard. And y'all taught me that I deserve to be heard. My voice matter. And this is only the beginning, so thank y'all again. And that's it.
Absolutely, it's only the beginning. It really is. And I know Jeremiah said that he had some words he would like to share.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, great job, Nia, Christian, and Sanaya. Your statement, your poem, all of those were just beautiful and inspiring, and it deeply troubles me that this is the closing ceremony. But I do resonate with you, Christian, in that even if I knew there'd be a pandemic, I'd do it all over again. When it comes to the struggles that we've seen, like Dominique said in the opening of the ceremony, we knew each other for such a brief time in comparison, or I guess intimately and physically, in comparison to like the entire time that we've been spending time working together for the betterment of ourselves and the community. And so, with all that said, and all the looking back on all the work that we've done, the protests that we've put together, the panels we've sat on, the speeches we've written, and the cries, the tears, the nights where we've spent all over our Zoom just trying to scramble and make sure that we had everything set. I think that this is a powerful, powerful group of young people who I'm pleased to announce to you are welcoming you into what we will know as the springtime of youth, a time in which where youth will ring, youth and energy will spring forth and bring many different layers of creativity and innovation and intuition into our beautiful society and our community at large. And so with all that said, I know in my heart of hearts that we will be known as the group who is known for their triumphs and not their tragedies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah and Christian and Nia and Sanaya and all of the fellows who have really just stuck through this year. I want to open it up to if any of the other fellows have anything that they would like to add in terms of reflection.
I would like to say something. Kind of backing off of what they said, you guys came at a point in my life, especially for me and for other fellows I kind of discussed a little bit of the mental things that I've gone through in the beginning of the year, came at a point in my life when I didn't realize I kind of needed this. You guys brought a voice that I forgot I had, a voice that I didn't realize I had. And as a singer, like that's a kind of big deal to know one's voice. So I'm very appreciative of you guys, very, very grateful. You know what I was talking to one of my friends about? So this is basically politics you're doing this? I don't even like politics and didn't even realize I was doing policy reform. I was like, yeah, I think it's just more, I don't like the policies that are in place that I'm just like, politics turns me off because it's not what it's supposed to be, or at least what I think it's supposed to be. So yeah, I'm very grateful. And that's really all I want to say.
Okay, well, if no other fellows want to say anything, maybe after you open your gifts, you will want to say something. But we are going to move on to the other side of this, which is let me see if I can get this slide right, words of advice, words of encouragement from Alexis Reed, one of our board members who is actually a 2019 fellow and also was a NOYA intern, and it's just been an incredible addition to this group of now 20 young people that we have that we just, are growing with. So Alexis, if you have anything you'd like to say, I know that you have something you'd like to say, so now is your moment.
I don't really feel like I can top what y'all have said, but I'll just start by saying like some of my first impressions. Like so if you saw in the chat, I said Garvey, not Gucci to Jeremiah, because I interviewed him. And one of the most memorable things he said was like, he went to HBCU. This was like after Gucci did like, I don't know, there's so many designers do so many problematic things to the Black community. But anyways, he created this campaign and it was Garvey Not Gucci. So every time I see him, even though it's virtual, I still remind him. And it's something that I kind of live by, like an affirmation, like Garvey Not Gucci. And I also remember like meeting, well, really just like reading their applications, and I was like, wow, like they're a really spiritual group. So it was interesting to see this come to life. And I'll never forget meeting Jay for the first time and just feeling like I was like with a broadcaster. He's like so animated, but like so on it. So I always knew like they would really be like their own group and like cultivate their own lane. So seeing this come together has been really cool, like keeping up with what you guys have been doing throughout the pandemic outside of NOYA, like mobilizing millennials. So you guys really went above and beyond, like despite a pandemic. I think my only advice would be like just, of course, keep in touch with your cohort. You know, make plans with your cohort even after this, like bond together, because you're gonna need each other. Of course, keep in touch with Rashida and Dominique, and remember to network, continue to network with the people that you met in your different weekly meetings. And just remember why you applied to be a NOYA fellow, and just carry that energy and that hunger with you when you enter new rooms as you go on your journey to, you know, decision making in New Orleans. Thank you.
Okay, and now Kira. Oh, it's so good to see you, Kira. I miss you. Kira's also a board member.
Can y'all hear me? Sorry about my background. Hi, everyone. Yes, as Dominique said, I am a board member. And to piggyback off of Lexi, yes, reading these applications for this year's fellows was amazing. Getting the interview for the second time, because I interviewed the first cohort, was another amazing. But this year's, it was very different and very spiritual. Meeting Jay and all the rest of them were so great and so fun. And I had fun interviewing everyone. Also, like she said, this year has been a challenge. It really has. We had to come to a new normal than what we were used to. And me as well. I didn't move. I left New Orleans. And it's been a crazy, crazy year for everyone. And I am really excited how everyone is doing, and getting to see everyone again is so amazing. I have a quote that I love that I would like to read to you guys. So here it is. Sorry if I'm looking away. It's, let me leave you all with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And like Alexa said, keep in contact with your fellows, keep in contact with Alexis and Dominique and Rashida, me as well. If you need anything, just let me know.
Thank you, Kira.
Thank you, Kira.
All right, y'all. So now is the moment that I know the fellows, some of them, have been waiting for this whole time. It's time for you to open your gifts. So I'm gonna have everyone open them. You can share them, but I have pictures of what they got so you can see up close the goodies. Yes, look at those bags. Oh my goodness, don't be rough with it. Okay. Oh, it's so great to see y'all opening this together. I love it. So yeah, we got some shirts. You can rock the NOYA polo, like Rashida.
You know, I also
Christiane has a pin. She's doing the YouTube influencer. Sanaya, I saw that you had the book. So yeah, and then there's also the plaques. So these are the gifts that we've got for the fellows. Rashida also showed earlier a mug that I gave her. Do you still have your mug? So I tried to make these mugs for y'all, but it was just not working. And like, we're not gonna get into it too much, but hopefully you will get the mug as well. We're gonna work on that. And also, like I said, we also got them a book by one of our former board members. It's called Know Your Price. It's about valuing Black lives and property in America's Black cities, and it is signed by Andre Perry. So hopefully you can take some time to read this. I know that we've kind of talked about, so many things throughout, and hopefully this will also inspire you to keep, collecting, keep learning. And I know that Rashida has some remarks now. So thank you for waiting to open your gifts. That's the last thing that I have to say on that.
Well, yes, we're coming to a close now, and I'm going to hold it together. So what I want to say to all of you is what a privilege it has been to work with you over the past few months. I honestly could not have imagined, I don't think any of us could imagine the situation that we would find ourselves in very shortly after meeting each other and coming together. But I will say this, as difficult as it has been to get through this pandemic, it has been made a great deal easier because of the community that we form with each other. Each and every one of you has supported each other in ways that I think have been critical to our survival and our ability to thrive during this very difficult time. Because of the community that we formed together, we've been able to find really light moments and fun moments together. And I want to say that it has been really challenging to try to translate what we do in person into a virtual space. So I got to give a hat tip. I don't have a hat over here, it's over there, but to Dominique for really working so hard to make sure that we created a community where we could learn each other, grow with each other, and build with other folks in our community. So I got to shout out Dominique, because that was made possible because of you, but also because of each of our fellows' willingness to just keep showing up, keep trying, and keep pursuing a better New Orleans for themselves and their families. I want to shout out our partners who came through. We have partners from Ed Trust, we have partners from iWest, partners from Children and Youth Planning Board, obviously Youth and Families, Louisiana Center for Children's Rights, tons of partners. And I want to say thank you to all of those folks who gave up their evenings when we've been on Zoom calls all day long to jump on another Zoom call with our young people to invest in them, both time and energy and information. I just want to say thank you because this is a community effort. Now, for all of our fellows, I'm so sorry that you've been robbed of some of the experiences that you deserve to have. So I want to say today that we are making a commitment when the lights come back on and we're able to go outside and play, that you will have those experiences that were promised to you because you deserve to have them. That includes our retreat. We're gonna have to do it up even better. And we'll also do some other things. I wanna also let you know that I am working to raise additional money to support you even further. So I'd like to go even deeper with at least 10 of you from my first and second cohorts to really continue to invest in your growth and development if that's something that you want to do. And if more of you want to do it, then I'm down with that too. But I want to tell you this, the reason why Dominique and I decided that this was something that we need to do is because we see the tremendous capacity that you have to transform our community and to make our lives better. And you deserve continued investment and support. And so we're going to continue to do that with you. Now, this is the part where I gotta go through each one of you because I think it's important for you to know, one, what I see in you, but also what I expect from you. And I have to tell you just what you mean to me. So, whoa, I already got a little thing in my throat. So I'm gonna start with Christiane. Let me go find your picture so I can look you in your face, even though you can't look you in your face. Christiane, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you and how happy that I am that you chose to pursue this opportunity. You are sitting on a campus right now where you didn't have to do that. You could actually have just stuck to doing things on campus, but you are a NOLA girl. And so you are committed to your city and you continue to make investments to make sure that you can get the skills that you need to both transform the campus that you reside on, but also the community that you live in. You have tremendous and important insights and your voice is so important. We need to continue to hear it. I want to congratulate you on all of the new leadership endeavors that you're pursuing on your campus. And I know you are ruffling feathers up there and getting it turned up. We want to see more of it. And I want to tell you that what I respect the most about you is your resilience. Like when things got in your way, barriers, whether it be like issues around finance in school and trying to figure out how you were going to juggle all of this, you just kept plowing away and you knew when to ask for help. And that is a skill and a behavior that is going to carry you a long way. I want to invite you to kick it with me a little more because you know, you don't have to be scared. Thanks for the text message. I want to tell you that my door is always open to you. I appreciate you. I love you. And I'm super duper proud of you. All right. Next up, where's my Donica? I can't see if I can find Donica's face. Even if I can't, I'm going to do this. Donica is one of our fellows who's also a mom. And Donica has gone through a tremendous amount of transition during the course of this pandemic. Donica was working with the city of New Orleans, ended up leaving there and going back to school as a single mom while also helping her child go through virtual school. Now, if you're a parent, you already know that it is maddening. So trying to be a student in a virtual setting at the same time as raising your child and putting them through their own virtual school, and her child is young, that is very challenging. But Donica managed to do it and continues to manage to pursue a better life for she and her family. And this has not been an easy time. Several of our fellows have lost loved ones throughout this pandemic. Have experienced their own mental health challenges, including me. We all have gone through a little something. And I just want to just tell you, Donica, that my door, again, is always open to you. I've appreciated our private conversations. I've appreciated how you continue to show up, even though like all the things around you might be in chaos, you continue to show up and offer your perspective and brought your energy to our group. I want to tell you now what I expect from you. I expect you to continue to forge ahead. I expect you to continue to put forth your best possible effort and continue to get the support that you need and grow your community of support so that you can continue to thrive. Please do not think because this is coming to a close that means that our relationships are done. We will continue to be here to support you. And I'm expecting, because you come to the table with such a unique set of experiences, that you always remember your value, and how important your experiences are to the work that we're doing. We need what you have to say. We need to learn from your experiences. And so I want to just invite you to keep showing up. Nia, our current intern, a young woman who I have known since she was, I don't know, Nia, you were a young one when I met you at College Track. Always very, very thoughtful, very thoughtful young woman, and also just pretty fly, to be quite honest. You always had like a very old soul and a little bit of swag, you know, from early on. And I want to tell you that you haven't lost a beat. You are a mom now, and you are another one who is juggling so much. But what I respect and appreciate the most about you is just how you think. You are such a creative thinker, but you also think about your community in a way that is all encompassing. You think about all the people. You think about issues from a very, very broad perspective. And you usually are thinking about things that we're not even like in tune to. So I think what you should understand and remember is that whenever you're at a table and you think that your voice is not important or you don't have something to offer, know that every time you open your mouth with me, I am learning something new and thinking about things differently because you showed up and you spoke. And so I want to tell you how much I appreciate you. I want to tell you that our space will continue to be your space. That Bat Cave is our Bat Cave. And whenever you need a moment to yourself, and every parent does, that you can find support from us. So I love you very much. Sanaya, our Southern Belle, and yes, sis. So there's two of our fellows that started with us when they were in high school and transitioned to college. So I got to shout out Damon and Sanaya. Now, why? Because they were in their senior year. They got robbed of their proms. I mean, it just was like a total setup. But do you think these two complained? Not one bit. Sanaya, you have been a true champion and a true lady about everything. Like you, the way that you spoke previously about just things happening for a reason and trusting in God, that showed up in how you showed up every single week. The fact that you continue to be invested in this process through your, as you started out at Southern University, you kept coming on. No, I went to college. I had a little fun. Even if it's a pandemic, I'm sure you find ways to get into something. But no matter what, every Tuesday, you continue to show up and you continue to offer your wisdom and you continue to support your peers. My expectation of you is to continue your journey at Southern. And I want you to bring all that you learned through this experience and bring all that you have learned from growing up in New Orleans to Southern, and let them know what it means, what it means to have a NOLA girl there, and who is ready to turn it out. You are going to run things at Southern, okay? You're looking very mature and quite beautiful these days, like a whole grown woman. I just want to tell you, you're grown up before my eyes. And I am very proud of you, but I am expecting you to lead at Southern in the ways that you have led here. And I'm expecting you to lead with the faith that you brought into this situation. I thank you for your resilience and I thank you for your voice. It will continue to matter. And so don't ever, ever, ever shy away or be silenced, okay? Now, Jay, our elder statesman, who from day one, I knew he was something special. Jay opens his mouth and commands your attention. And the beauty of him, unlike many, many, many celebrities, and this is our local celebrity, unlike other celebrities, he knows what to do with his platform. Jay, you are blessed. I just really, really believe that God has put something in you that is a gift that is going to help to make our community what it ought to be. You are courageous. You are so courageous, and you say things that other people won't. Your analysis is incredible. And what you are doing every time you use that voice, is one, give other people permission to show up and lead. And if I can reflect back to you what Matt said about you some time ago, is that you are the reason why he and other young people know that they had value and could actually make a change. That's because you created space for other young people through Mobilizing Millennials. And just every time that you show up on panels and show up and talk one-on-one with folks, for all those students that you work with at Dillard, who you are admitting into school or working with in that process, you, by merit of how you show up and by merit of how you interact and engage with them, are giving them permission to be great because you decided every day to show up in your greatness. I love you. You know that. And I'm looking forward actually to get into some good trouble with you. And so I want to tell you, you have been a blessing and a joy to work with. And I think that y'all, all the rest of your fellows and you, I think you're going to set some stuff off. And I'm expecting that from all of you. Let Jay lead the way, y'all. Now, Deja. I will tell you that I actually met Deja on a panel. We were both on a panel, and we were, I think, a day or two after our fellowship application deadline. And I turned around to her and said, "You're going to be one of my fellows. So I need you to submit an application tonight. I'm going to send it to you in a minute." And she did it. And when she went through that process, she, as she did on the first day that I met her, impressed all of us. We were really blown away by your capacity to use your art to tell stories, to heal people, to lift up and elevate the voices and experiences of your community. And it is something that you don't have to do, but to be so young and to be so clear in your vision for your community and for yourself is something that many grown folks, me included, aspire to be. I want you to know how much I admire you. And I'm expecting you to continue to use your art to make our world more beautiful and substantively more beautiful. So I want to tell you again, you just are a gift. And thank you for bringing a lot of healing vibes to our fellowship and for always supporting and loving us so fully and so freely. All right, Jeremiah, my baby. It's my baby. So this is my guy, y'all. So Jeremiah calls me and we talk, like, you know, we give each other advice, and I'm very protective of this one because he is a brother that is very sensitive in the sense that he is very emotionally aware and he is very emotionally intelligent. And I know grown men, many, I've dated a few of them, who really wish they could be like you. You have a sense of awareness, a level of respect for humanity, and a love for your community that surpasses what I see on a day-to-day basis from people who are in positions of power. We need a person like you leading in our nonprofits, in our schools, in our business sector. We need somebody like you who is leading from a place of love. I want to remind you that you deserve the absolute best and to never, ever, ever settle for someone who can't meet you at the level of greatness that you bring into this world. You are a beautiful person, a brilliant thinker, and just truly a great friend to all of us. And I want to tell you how much that has meant to all of us throughout this pandemic and throughout our experience together. You are one of the main reasons why this has been a much more bearable experience, and not just bearable, but a glorious experience. Jeremiah, you are loved and you are appreciated. Thank you so much. Now, Damon, this is my other youngin. Now, Damon, this is our young man who was grown before our eyes, who was in high school and transitioned into college and went all the way out to Westerblip to go to school. We are glad you are home. But you were in the middle of a significant transition in the midst of this pandemic, trying to transition out to go to college, but to go to college a great distance from home, and also to a college that is quite challenging in general in terms of the climate for young people of color. And just like you have always done, as long as I have known you, you have handled every single step in that process with grace. And you have never, never, ever, ever in any of those moments, even as you advocated for yourself, stopped advocating for your colleagues and your peers. Never. And that is a mark of a great leader. So even as you process and navigate the world, you never forget where you came from and who you serve. And that type of sacrifice and that type of commitment and responsibility that you demonstrate for your community and for your people is something that I truly respect. The other thing I want to lift up about you is that you always speak truth to power. You are super respectful. You're super chill, but don't ever let nobody think that that means that he is a passive person. Damon speaks truth to power at all times. And he does it in a way that requires you to stop and think, and it calls you to the carpet to be better. And I just want to tell you how important that has been to not just those of us who are in this room, but all the young people that you speak for and all the young people that you bring into this work. You are an incredible leader and organizer, and we're going to need you in this fight going forward. So I continue to expect greatness. I expect you to organize more and more people, and I expect you to continue to open your heart to this work and lead from that place of responsibility and love that you always do. You are amazing. Andre, our spiritual leader, our spiritual guide. First of all, where's our cat?
He's eating.
So if y'all have been doing Zoom calls, you know people's pets come in and out of these calls, and we have come to love Andre's baby. But we do. So I just want to shout out the baby. But I want to tell you, Andre, that some of the things that we've watched you to do is to really find your voice here, as you have said. I remember when you first came in, you were a little shy from where I stood. There was things about your creative and artistic side that you kind of kept reserved. But you know what? Through this transition and through this process, we've just seen you blossom. No longer are you as shy and as reserved. You don't have to say a lot. You can be very laid back, but as soon as you open your mouth, it's like a roar. It's like a moment where we have to pause and just listen. One, because you're so insightful. You're so insightful, but you also operate from a place of incredible authenticity, right? So you're never putting on. You're always operating from a place of tremendous authenticity, which tells us, one, that you have a deep love of self. And that's hard to get to, especially in a world that constantly bears down on us and tells us that we should be something other than who we are. Your authenticity represents a level of courage that we all are going to need in order to show up in this work and keep up the fight. The other thing is you bring us a lot of joy and laughter because your sense of humor is it's off the chain. You have brought us a lot of smiles, a lot of joy, and a lot of reads. And I'm not just talking about spiritual readings. I'm talking about Andre is good for a good read, as in reading for filth. So Andre, you keep getting the people together. You keep showing up as your authentic self, and you continue to operate in joy because you deserve joy, you emit joy, and you are a joy to all of us. I really, really, truly appreciate you. And then finally, one of our fellows is not here with us today, but I would be remiss if I didn't tell you what this young man brought to our group, and that is Matt Weber. Matt is, and we're gonna make sure he gets this because he needs to hear this. Matt is a person who is transcendent. Matt is somebody who, when he shows up in the room, he shows up with a quiet confidence that he's developed since he's been in this group. Matt has a level of awareness of the issues and a capacity to translate policy issues to the masses in a way that helps you understand how that is experienced on a day-to-day basis. So it's no longer just statistics and numbers. Matt helps you to really understand why these policy issues matter because he understands and cares about people. It is fundamental to who he is. And the level of love and respect that he has for his community really shows up in the great level of concern that he brings to every single conversation that he's a part of. Matt has experienced challenges like many of the rest of us through this pandemic, and he continues to plow ahead and forge ahead. We expect great things from that young man. I want all of us to just lift up Matt and just send him good vibes because we all could use a little bit of that right now. And in his absence, I just want to make sure that everybody in this room knows that that young man is loved, is respected, and is so valued. He is so valued. And I want to put in a plug that any of you who are looking to work with an incredible young man who has a tremendous amount of insight and ability, Matt is your guy. Matt is your guy. That's our change maker. And he is the conscience of this group. So I can tell you that definitively. And so with that, I just want to make sure I did not miss anybody because, I'm emotional. I don't think I did. I want to just tell all of you what a blessing it has been and a privilege it has been for me to work with you. I love and adore you. As I said, we will continue to invest in you, and we hope that you continue to pour into us because you are growing us with every day and every minute that you spend with us. I thank you, I love you, and congratulations. All right.
Congratulations, y'all. That is all we have tonight. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating, reflecting, celebrating, and I have my cat right here, and we're signing off. Goodbye, everybody. This is not the full goodbye, but
see you later.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Great program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.